Hash of all Star Trek's major character deaths, this is the one that really made me go WTF. Star Trek has never been shy about bold storytelling decisions, but every once in a while, the franchise throws out a character death so unexpected, so narratively bizarre, that fans collectively stop and ask, what just happened? Over the decades, we've lost legends. Spock in The Wrath of Khan, Data in Nemesis, Jadzia Dax in Deep Space Nine, even Kirk himself in Generations. But of all of them, one death stands apart, not because of its emotional depth or cinematic heroism, but because it made me yell WTF at the screen in sheer disbelief. I'm talking about Commander Trip Tucker's death in Star Trek Enterprise's series finale, These Are the Voyages. A goodbye that didn't need to happen. Let's be clear, Trip Tucker, played with southern charm and earnest grit by Connor Trinneer, was one of Enterprise's most consistently likable characters. He was a brilliant engineer, a loyal friend, and half of the show's most developed and often frustrating romantic arc with Topol. He was a heart and soul kind of guy, the everyman in a series populated by Vulcan logic and Starfleet idealism. So the idea of killing him off in the final episode, an episode framed as a holodeck simulation being watched by Commander Riker of the Next Generation, already felt wrong. Not bittersweet. Not poetic. Just off. Trip dies in an utterly avoidable, nonsensical way. He sacrifices himself to save Captain Archer from a group of generic space pirates. Space pirates. Not Romulans. Not Klingons. Not some season-long big bad. Just a random, forgettable band of crooks that don't even pose a credible threat. It felt less like a climactic sacrifice and more like a poorly planned Tuesday gone wrong. Let's talk context. To fully understand why Trip's death hit fans so sideways, we need to look at These Are the Voyages itself. Promoted as the series finale of Enterprise, it was bizarrely told from the perspective of Riker and Troy during the events of TNG's The Pegasus. They're watching a holodeck program of Enterprise's final mission, 6 years after the events of the show's prior episode. So instead of a proper send-off for the Enterprise NX-01 crew, fans got an awkward mashup episode that sidelined the main cast in favor of a TNG nostalgia trip. This would have been strange under any circumstances, but considering that Enterprise had finally found its footing in Season 4 with tighter storytelling and deeper character arcs, it felt like the show was being hijacked just when it was getting good. And in the middle of all this, Trip's sudden and unceremonious death. There was no build-up, no farewell, no strategic purpose. Just boom, he's gone. Then the story moves on as if it were nothing more than a technical glitch in the holodeck program. Even Topol, who had shared one of the show's most emotionally complex relationships with Trip, barely reacts. One tear. A single tear. That's it. Seriously, what the actual F? How not to kill a beloved character. The way a character dies matters. It tells us something about their journey, their values, and what the writers think their legacy should be. Spock's death in The Wrath of Khan was devastating, but it was earned. It was noble, impactful, and delivered with dramatic weight. Data's death in Nemesis was imperfectly handled, but it still fit his arc. He gave his life to save his friends and embrace his humanity. Trip's death? It didn't resolve a character arc. It didn't deliver emotional catharsis. It didn't even feel like part of the story Enterprise had been telling for 4 seasons. If anything, it felt like a last-minute twist thrown in for shock value, a clumsy attempt to inject pathos into a finale that didn't otherwise have enough substance. And rather than feeling moved, fans felt betrayed. Trip deserved better. Enterprise deserved better. And frankly, we deserved better. Fans rejected it, and rightfully so. The backlash to Trip's death was immediate and intense. Online forums lit up with complaints. Cast members, including Trinneer himself, voiced disappointment. Even showrunner Manny Coto, who had steered Enterprise through its best season, said he didn't agree with the finale's direction, particularly the decision to kill Trip. Over time, the episode came to be regarded as one of Star Trek's worst finales. Not because it was poorly acted or because the production was lazy, but because it made a series-ending choice that fundamentally misunderstood its own characters and audience. In response, some tie-in media, most notably the Star Trek Enterprise relaunch novels, actually retcon Trip's death. In those stories, Trip fakes his death and goes on a covert mission for Section 31, the shady intelligence agency seen in DS9 and Discovery. While not canon, this retcon became a fan-favorite solution, if only because it gave the character back some dignity. When your audience collectively pretends a character's death didn't happen, that's a sign your story went seriously wrong. Why it still haunts Trek fans? So many characters in Star Trek have died memorably. Some were tragic. Some were heroic. Some were necessary. But Trip's death is memorable for the wrong reasons. It felt pointless. It didn't bring closure. It didn't move the narrative forward. And it certainly didn't serve the character's journey. Even now, nearly 2 decades after Enterprise ended, Trip's death remains a symbol of missed opportunity. What could have been a heartfelt farewell to a unique corner of the Star Trek universe instead turned into an awkward meta episode that felt more like a footnote to the next generation than a send-off for Enterprise. It didn't honor the crew who boldly went where no human had gone before. It felt like someone hit the wrong button in the holodeck. What we lost with Trip Tucker. Trip Tucker was more than just the ship's engineer. He was the bridge between 21st century Earth sensibilities and Starfleet's future ideals. He laughed. He loved. He struggled. He learned. And he brought a grounded, human energy to a show that often dealt in big ideas and interstellar politics. In many ways, Trip was the emotional compass of Enterprise. His optimism, his loyalty, and his stubborn dedication to doing the right thing made him the kind of character viewers rooted for week after week. So to watch him die in such a slapdash, impersonal way, without fanfare, without closure, and without meaning, was a gut punch for longtime fans. It wasn't just a tragic death. It was a bad death. What should have happened? It's easy to say Trip should have lived, and sure, that would have been nice. But even if the writers had truly wanted to end the series with a character death, it could have been done in a way that made sense. Imagine this instead. The crew faces a final, dangerous mission. Maybe the foundation of the Federation is threatened or Earth is at risk. Trip, ever the selfless hero, makes a calculated sacrifice to ensure peace. It still hurts, but it means something. The others grieve. Topple mourns. Archer gives a eulogy that ties back to their earliest adventures. We cry, but we understand. That would have made the finale hit hard in the best way. But we didn't get that. We got space pirates and a throwaway holodeck script. In conclusion, a WTF that still echoes. Star Trek has always asked big questions. What does it mean to be human? How do we grow as a society? Can we find hope among the stars? Trip Tucker's death, unfortunately, left us with smaller, pettier questions. Why did they do this? Who thought this was a good idea? And again, seriously, what the F just happened? Of all the deaths in the vast Star Trek canon, this is the one that still makes me